Welcome to Speaking from the Heart with Maggie Linton, with her guest Denise Nussbaum. Enjoy the conversation.
Denise, so are you ready to chat?
I am. Nice to meet you, Maggie.
Nice meeting you too. I would like to start a little bit about your background and
Okay.
then some of your Aloha Ranch and then that kind of stuff, because I know so many people in Lahaina really got affected by the fire, and then your novel, which I really want to read. I got the notice late, but it's like I really want to read that because it's a different way of looking at things. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I'm a retired professor. I was a sociology professor for 22 years. I
Hmm.
was department chair and was very active. I was the chair of the diversity committee, so we had ongoing diversity events for, everybody's month, but also for ongoing issues like human trafficking and domestic violence, things like that. So I've always been interested in the human condition. Before I went to graduate school, I had backpacked around the world by myself on a $10 a day budget.
Wow.
And that
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 works in
lasted,
many countries, but not this one.
no, well, it was also 1987, 88, and 89. So it's a little bit cheaper back then.
Oh, for sure.
But what I really learned was how much I didn't know. I thought I was so smart. I had gone to UCSD as an undergraduate and, the hubris of a young, smart woman. And when I came back from that trip, I was a completely different person. That's when I went to graduate school. I had initially wanted to be an investigative journalist, but I found my niche in teaching sociology because it really is about unearthing secrets and critical thinking and teaching young students how to think for themselves. And academia became more about teaching students what to think rather than teaching them how to think
Hmm.
at the end of my tenure there. So I eventually retired after 22 years and moved to Maui. And the term retired is, should be in quotation marks because I have never been busier. So when I got here, I started working in nonprofit, working for a couple of other nonprofits here. We were working for domestic violence and homelessness, and uh, things weren't moving as quickly. The committee work and having to get approval from this group and that group, it was really bogging us down, and we were stepping over dollars to save pennies with regard to what was going on politically. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to branch out and go crazy and get my own nonprofit, and I'm going to do it just a lot more streamlined, a lot more efficiently if there's only one person calling the shots. And so that's what I did. And before the fires, we were mostly serving the homeless. And we had a crew of people, and we would crawl into bushes, and we knew where all the encampments were. And most of the populations were happy to see us. Some of them weren't, and we respected that. But we started that in 2019. And then the fire was in 2023, as you know, and the need became exponential. So I thought, well, the fundraising that we're doing is, a few $1,000s, but we really need a lot more money. So I started writing grants, which I used to do as a professor for the diversity events. And I wrote a grant to the Rotary, the District 5000, and they had, I'm not sure how familiar you are with the Rotary organization, but they have, but charters everywhere, all over the world,
Right.
and
Right.
millions of dollars came in.
Right.
So I was able to get a fairly large grant, $279,000, to put household goods into the tiny homes that our fire survivor families were moving into.
Right.
And the campaign under my nonprofit called Aloha Ranch, the campaign I called Hotels to Hales, because all of these families were coming from hotel rooms and they'd been bouncing around from hotel room to hotel room and living on uncle's couch and cousins. And the families were largely separated because, large extended families and nobody has room to house. So it was really a
Everybody.
problem.
Right.
And then about a year after the fire, they started to ship in these tiny homes, and just by accident I met a family up there that had been put in a tiny home, and they had been bounced around, and they had lost an uncle in the fire. They had lost their homes, and they were leaving town, and their tiny home was empty. And I said, do you mind if I go in there and see what I can do? Because she asked me, because I became an interior designer as I was retired. So she said, do you know anything about designing small places? And I said, yeah, I love that. I'll help you. So long story short, I went into their place and I completely filled their house with everything they needed. Towels and kitchen supplies, linens. I did up the two girls' bedrooms and their favorite stuffed animals, and I did everything for them when they came back. And they were so touched, and we were so happy to have done it for them that we said, well, this is one family. Why don't we do the other 449 families that are moving into this tiny home village? And so that's what we're doing. And this week I'm working on family number 290.
Wow. Now, how long does it take you to put a house together? Is it a according to how many people are there that you have to work around and that kind of thing? But just in general, you know, a fair number, couple of weeks, a month, whatever.
Well, we no longer go in and do the decorating for them. So what I've had to pare it down to is I made a basic list of everything from, from toothbrush and toothpaste to bath towels and kitchen plates and dining room tables and everything like that. And so they check off everything they need. And then they send the application to me. We have a online on our website. And then,
Well, talk, wait, and give your website real quick while we're talking about this.
okay, the website is aloharanch.lahaina.org. aloharanch.lahaina.org. The application is on there, and also our story and pictures of the families that we've served in those original homes. So anyway, I was doing shopping myself and running all over town, and we got so busy so quickly. I thought I really need to make this efficient. So I started ordering almost exclusively from Walmart because their prices are great and they were shipping for free. And so I started doing one order per family, and the boxes come in, and I have a donated storage unit donated from 5A Rent a Space in Lahaina. And once a week, I have volunteers from the community, and we deliver between 4 and 10 families a week. And, there's like maybe 10, 12 boxes sometimes per family and furniture. So it's a big thing every week. And just the inflow is so great. People are crying and hugging us, and they tell us their stories. It's really the most rewarding thing I have ever done in my life. And everyone who volunteers thanks me for asking them to volunteer. I mean, that's how wonderful this project is.
It's like when you put it in motion, you were hoping for a little and you got a lot, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm just an optimist. Well, why don't we help more families?
Me too.
And then,
Yeah,
first I got to
yeah.
get the money. That's what I did first. And I said, oh my goodness, okay, this is a full-time job, but it's
Mhm.
worth it.
Yeah. Well, it helped that you knew where to knock too,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of doors that are willing to open. When you talked about, working with the homeless, every Saturday morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm at my church and we cook food for the homeless, and then take it to downtown Baltimore. And we do about 600 to 800 meals per weekend. There's
Wow.
one on Saturday, one on Sunday. The casseroles are made on a Wednesday and Thursday night at our church. We're there heating it up along with about 30 pounds of oatmeal each day and that kind of thing. But I've been doing it now for over 3 years, and it's so rewarding to know that you're making the difference for people, because we don't just give them that one meal, we also give them sandwiches and fruit and things like that. So they'll have a couple of more meals in order to be able to do things with. And that's the good feeling that you get, that you are making a difference. And I know that's got to be that way for you because of the homes that you are taking, and well, I should say the houses that you're taking and making them into a home.
Yeah. It's so rewarding. It's wonderful.
And when you tell people about it, what's their reaction initially?
I don't think I've had one negative response. Everybody thinks it's fantastic. People ask how they can help. It's very simple too. I mean, it's a bare bones operation. How you can help is come down Friday mornings and schlep boxes or send money. I mean, those are the two things right now.
Or both. That
Yeah,
would be even
exactly.
better to
Yes,
do the both. Yeah.
yes.
Now Lahaina really got hit. And I mean, I've seen uh, specials and things like that, but also I've known, one of our mutual friends, Carl Powell, and a couple of other friends, and how hard it was to work through that and devastation everywhere. When your initial, let's get out and get this, I guess Hawaii was not hit as hard with COVID, but you kind of get through one and here's something else, and then you get slapped with something else. You go, okay, um, you know, how much more do we have to take?
Right. And you know what? And COVID did hit us hard because we're a small island and because tourism is our number one, economic
Yeah.
component. So many people were out of work and struggling during COVID, and and we still haven't bounced back from that. But you're right, we were knocked down, and then the fires hit, and just it was that we used to talk about there's just this feeling in Lahaina that is so heavy and sad, and it was a collective trauma. And yeah, you would just because there were no tourists for months, I mean, for months and months and months, and
Well, there
so
was no place
everybody
for them to stay.
no, and so everyone you saw, we were all like shell shocked, and
Mhm.
I can remember just going to the gas station when it finally opened a month later, and just looking at someone I had never met, and I'm getting so clamped just thinking about it, and we locked eyes, and we both just started shaking our heads and like crying. It is a shared community trauma that I don't think any of us will ever really get back from.
Yeah, I've been blessed to have actually visited there, and I know how beautiful, not only just the vegetation, but the people and their givens, and going to the farmers markets and going downtown. And it just is devastating. And but yet I think of the beautiful church that managed to be there. You know,
Yeah, yeah, the
it just
Catholic Church.
yeah, that Catholic church. The last night I was there, my couple of friends that I was there with, we went in to just pray and thank God for a beautiful trip and to pray for a safe trip home. And we started singing Amazing Grace because the acoustics in there are so wonderful. And in walked two other young people from Canada, and they joined us. And my one girlfriend who was there had lost her son earlier in the year, and they had lost their dad. And so there was that immediate feeling of family, for the losses, but also the shared that we are here now to celebrate them. And I took a picture, and it was the only picture that turned out. In the back of each of them was a little golden globe.
Oh, wow.
And,
Wow.
that was on the old Kodak film. And I thought that is a very blessed church to have
Oh, I
survived
got
that.
chills.
Yeah. And so I hold Maui Lahana in my heart on a regular basis. And I
It's
know
a
how
special
good
place.
it is. It is very much a special place. Let's talk a little bit about how you decided it was time for you to write your novel,
Well,
because you cover a lot, Denise Nussbaum.
I do. My family was involved in two horrific tragedies 2 months apart. And coming from my academic background, which I've been publishing since 1987, but it was always academic stuff and dry, boring stuff, and a textbook and original research. I always longed to write fiction. I always said I was going to write fiction. It was always my intention to write fiction.
Mhm.
So I am finally retired. Um, and I met Betsy Chassey through a writing group, and I thought, well, this is the time. I have the best writing coach to be able to do it. And I decided to jump in, and I had this idea that somehow I could tie together the trauma of the Lahaina fires and the trauma of the terrorist massacre on October 7th in Israel. It was very much connected for me because my family was in both places. And I don't even know how it started, but like I said, Betsy Chassey, who was the infamous Hollywood writer and director and author, um, producer, and she gave me the framework. I guess I had everything floating around in my head, and she said, you can do it, and here's the steps. Do this. And once I got through that outline that she gave me, it was really easy. It was because academic research it's laborious, and you're literally researching every tiny little fact, and it's no fun. It's not exciting. You don't go to your best friend and say, hey, you got to read my latest thing, because nobody cares except for sociologists. This was different. This was exciting. And I got to use my writing skills, my creative writing skills that had been in hibernation for about 25 years. In graduate school, I got in trouble every time I used an adjective. So it's a completely different, writing style. It really was. And Betsy brought it out in me. She was my doctor, and she helped me birth my first baby. It's been fun. And now I'm knee deep in the second book already and having a blast.
Is it a continuation of the story or is it a second one? And we should say that the novel title is The Ashes Know Her Name.
Right. The ashes know her name. And the reason it's called that is because our heroine, Anna, is born on a kibbutz, and her name is Ziva, and she, experiences a horrible terrorist attack when she's 10 years old and loses her mother and her cousin, and she and her cousins move to Maui. And when she moves, she's so traumatized. She wants to leave her old life behind. So she vows to change her name and change her identity and escape the horrors of her childhood. But the ashes know her name. She was, they found her in the Lahaina fires, and then again in the other terrorist attack. And it's really a deep emotional reckoning for a traumatized child who grows up, and she's so afraid to make connections. She's so afraid to have any more loss. She's, I'm not going to love again. No one's going to hurt me type of thing, which I think a lot of us have felt over the years. And when you experience deep loss, there's always that time when I cannot handle ever loving again like this, right? Whether it's a death or a breakup. So this character and her fictional boyfriend, who everyone who meets him in the book, all the girls, all the ladies, and a lot of the men love him. He's the perfect man. And and that's the fun thing about writing fiction, is it's so empowering. You say what he's going to say. You say what he's going to do. Is he going to get in trouble? Is he not? Is he going to be the perfect man? And so you can create your perfect people, your perfect scenarios, work through your deeply rooted psychological issues through somebody else, and then call it fiction.
You know, I keep thinking that your background in sociology, because it introduced you to so many people and you taught it, you really have a lot of characters to work with, don't you?
Absolutely. And I really do that. I work through everything I used to teach my students, because I taught social psychology, and we talked a lot about trauma and the consequences of trauma, and inequality and diversity and the lack of justice. The question in my book, the underlying question is, why does God allow evil to prosper while innocent people suffer? So there's some deep questions, but it's about love and faith and family and resilience and hope, and it's the whole thing. But it really is a psychological reckoning for one of the characters, for sure.
Yeah. You talked about I think about the hostages being freed just about a week ago, and the joy that you see for so many families. And there are still people out there hoping that, even if they're the remains, that they get some kind of closure. And it's hard for people. And I just keep saying this war of basically religions and philosophies has been going on forever. It's like, isn't it time to just sit down and say we all belong here?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's the existential question, right?
Mm. Yeah.
It's ongoing. And even with the tentative peace we have in the Middle East, Hamas has been firing again already. So
Yeah, but so has Israel.
yeah,
They're both guilty of it.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
my biggest surprise, was realizing that there's only one airport in the whole country. It's like, how big is this country? You know, I think there are like four airports, major airports, just within my region, not
right,
even within my state. Not, but
right.
just it's just amazing. And
Yeah,
to think
Israel is the size of New Jersey.
exactly, and that's pretty amazing to me. But even New Jersey has more than one major airport,
Right.
one
Yes.
in Newark and one in Peterborough. So,
Yeah. Good
that
point.
makes a big difference. So, um, you said you've already started on the next novel, but where can people find, where is it being sold?
Well, the first, Ashes Know Her Name are at all the major booksellers, Amazon, and it's on
Barnes
Kindle.
and
There's
Noble.
also an audio um, version on Audible. So,
Who did the audio? You?
no, I was going to. I really wanted a Hawaiian woman because I wanted the
Oh,
authenticity. But and I had talked to a couple of them, but it didn't work out. So I got a great woman. Her name is Belinda Lambs. She's done 30 something audiobooks. Um,
right.
so that's been interesting for me. I had never listened to a fiction book on audio. And so it's a very
Oh,
different
okay.
experience for me. It's not, you don't have the freedom to create the characters in your own head as much when you hear somebody else's voice.
Hmm.
So I find
But
that interesting.
I love
Very popular.
audiobooks. Right. I used to run the book channel for Sirius XM for about 6 years. And I got in so into audiobooks more than I ever thought I would. But it was just, it's a great way for the characters to come into mind. And, even though we read with audio, the book comes alive in a different sort of way.
Right. It's interesting.
Yeah. And hearing your words. So your next book, is it a
So my
continuation of
next
the
book,
story or
it's
completely
the
different?
same main characters. And so with our heroes are Anna and Chemo and
Hmm.
their dog Koa, who is a military trained Mastiff rescue. So he's very involved in the rescue scene in the first novel, which by the way takes place in the lava tubes under Hana, Hawaii. I'm on Maui. So it's
Wow.
the suspense part of it is my favorite part. And I've gotten a lot of great input about how exciting and scary, and everyone laughs and cries, and so it's really emotional, and I love that part. So in this novel, our hero and heroine are called to Big Bear, California during the winter, and all of the action and the dangerous rescue take
Mhm.
place during a snowstorm at the top of the mountains with
Wow.
snowmobiles and horses, and there's a black bear, and Koa's there in snow gear, and they're racing against time to rescue another character. So it should
You're a
be
busy
fun.
woman
I
with
am.
the imagination because you go from hot to cold
I
and
wanted
cold to
I
hot.
wanted to mix it up, but I
Yeah.
also wanted it to be like my first novel, somewhere that I've been and that I can have rich descriptions and, like the lava tunnels, I knew
Right.
exactly what that was like because I've been there. So Big Bear, I grew up going to Big Bear. I'm from San Diego originally, so
Oh,
it was the perfect, and it's going to be a fun juxtaposition because Anna and Chemo, the hero and heroine from the first book, are from Maui. They don't know anything about the cold. They've never been to the snow. And so there's going to be a fun little juxtaposition there. Um, but we have a new evil family or half evil family being introduced into the second book, which is going to be really fun. And we're going to explore one of the kids' childhood trauma. So, he had an evil mother and a horrible upbringing, and he has reactive attachment disorder, and the mother's a narcissist and a sociopath and a murderer. So, we've got a lot to get through.
It sounds like you want to do some healing with your books.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the thinly veiled underlying what's going on here.
Mhm.
Every one of my close friends who's read it says, Anna's you. I said, yeah.
That's where your heart is.
Yeah.
I want to go back and I want to double back and talk about Aloha Ranch once more and how people can get involved. Got to know more about some of your other needs. I know you can always use money, but you can use some other goods and things too. Am I correct?
Yeah, what people are asking for mostly that we can't help with are appliances and furniture. We get some furniture from Walmart. They have some light furniture and some smaller items, but I can't get the larger items shipped to them. So the donation of furniture and appliances, small and large,
Hmm.
um, we're basically would be a facilitator for that. So
Okay.
and if anyone's ever on Maui and you want to do a little volunteer work on a Friday morning, definitely reach out. And we're on the internet, aloharanch.lahaina.org, and you can contact us through there.
Mhm. Well, it sounds like you're making a difference in this world, and it seems
Thanks.
like you're carrying it very well. You seem so happy, and then you're also writing a novel, so you've got another whole thing going, and you're using the tools that you've been blessed with, aren't you?
I'm doing my best to live up to the gifts I've been given.
Mhm. All right. Well, Denise Nussbaum, thank you very much. You've been absolutely wonderful. Once again, give the websites where people can go to learn more.
Okay, with the nonprofit aloharanch.lahaina.org and my author's website, The Ashes Know Her Name.
All right. Thank you very much. I can't wait for it. I'm gonna have to go out and get this book because
Yeah.
it touches on a few things that I know about and we'll move forward.